Hi, welcome to Disaster Planning for Nonprofits. Let's talk about disasters and how they are not one size fits all. It's important for you to think about the disasters most likely to impact you and the characteristics of those disasters so you can be ready. This video is intended to explain how disasters differ and how you can bring these conversations back into the life of your organization. As much as we talk about disaster planning, we really need to talk about disasters planning. You know this already. The characteristics of the COVID pandemic are different from the characteristics of a wildfire, for example. Let's break this down to look at 4 aspects of a disaster. The first aspect is impact. What is affected by the disaster? Some disasters impact people, like a pandemic. Other disasters impact the physical environment, like a wildfire. The answer to this question might inform how much warning you are likely to get and how much control you have to respond to it. It drives your thinking on how much behavioral science you need to tap into to change behavior. You can implement policies or work to influence people for pandemics, for example, but you can't govern natural acts of God. The second aspect is scope. How broadly is the impact felt? Some disasters impact an entire community, like an earthquake or a wildfire. Other disasters impact a single organization, like a water pipe burst or a fallen tree limb. Scope is important in terms of mapping out potential partners. It also impacts your best course of action, which we'll mention now. The third aspect is best action. Should you stay or should you go? Remember that song? A lot of disaster planning before COVID talked about evacuation, which is great. Prepare for that. But it could be that not leaving your house is the best course of action, and you need to be prepared for that too. Some of the same systems for cloud storing documents and having complete contact information comes into play here. The fourth aspect is surprise factor. Do you get any warning? It's always nice to know in advance that something is about to happen, but a warning is often coupled with an emotional response if you haven't prepared properly. Some people panic, others freeze. Too much warning may reduce motivation to get ready. The surprise factor reminds us to be ready. It reminds us to plan for someone's emotional journey, should you be surprised or not. Let's talk about the next steps. In Disaster Planning for Nonprofits, we give you a disaster brainstorming list to get you thinking about what disasters are most likely coming your way. If you are new to disaster planning, start with one disaster. Talk through the 4 aspects of that disaster. Make a list of all of the assumptions that you might make in that scenario. You'll need that list for your continuity of operations planning, another topic in the series. Before you think that this is something you need to do alone, let's talk about how to have these conversations. Disaster planning is a team effort. You may have one point person, but your board and staff have an important role to play in creating a well-rounded picture of the impacts of a disaster. Bring this topic to a board meeting or a staff meeting or a retreat. Talk about it enough that it becomes normalized and not stressful. Your mission matters. Take time to prepare for the specific disasters coming your way so you can serve the people in your community.